On the road to acquiring real estate, funding is a major part of that journey. From JN Bank, I have Kendall Smith, Client Relationship Specialist, who will tell us how to find a way. Hi, Kendall.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm good. JN has been on a mission for helping people acquire real estate in Jamaica. Why are you so passionate about that?
JN Bank has been around for over 140 years. And we want to ensure that our core business, which is providing home loan solutions, everybody knows that it is their business. And if it is that they want to own a piece of Jamaica, we're here to help them, being that beacon of hope for them.
Over 140 years, that's a long time. What are some of the primary product solutions that JN offers for somebody who is trying to own a part of Jamaica?
Well, first of all, buying a home, it's important for one to save. So we offer a whole suite of saving solutions. It's not just about mortgages, because if it is that you're looking to buy a home, you must ensure that you have the right fit in terms of saving, and at the same time having that objective or goal in mind, because you must have your eye on the prize, which is that goal of owning that home.
And if I haven't been saving, Kendall, what do I do? Does JN help me? I'm at the point now where I want the home, but I don't have the saving.
JN Bank, we have a number of products that we have used to help persons. In recent times, we have offered up to 110% financing. Sadly, we are not doing that much now, but we are very close. We are doing as much as 100% for persons who would have been members with us saving for at least 5 years. Just having an account is one of the most important part of getting that. And of course, adequate income, good credit in order to achieve that particular goal.
So do you do an assessment to know that my income is adequate, my credit is appropriate for me to get that loan?
It is always important to have that right fit in mind. So it is having a conversation with us as experts to know what one is able to afford. So at the same time, we want to know, what are your circumstances? Are you employed? Are you self-employed? Are you contracted? Are you a pensioner? We want to know what it is that you are, so we can apply the right fit for you.
So I don't have to have a 9-to-5 to apply. I can be a pensioner?
Yes, you can. We are able to offer mortgages to persons that are beyond the age of 70.
I've never heard that before. How
Yes.
do I apply? Regardless of my status, how do I get started with JN?
Well, if it is that you are, for argument's sake, an employed person, we want to know as much information about employment. Are you a person that earns the same income every month? Are you a commissioned individual? We just want to know the dynamics of your income, and at the same time we look at the sustainability of the income. Further to that, we will look at how old you are, because it determines the life of the loan. And if it is that you have debts, we want to know how much you are paying for those debts, because it forms a part of the assessment. We want to extend ourselves, but we don't want to overextend ourselves where you are not able to manage the debt as we would have wanted you to.
You mentioned debt as a part of the loan that you give to me. Explain this concept of mortgage for those persons who may be new. What does it mean, and how does that relate to the debt that I have to JN?
All right, so a mortgage is a loan, right? Just like any other loan that one would have taken, like a car loan. A title is involved, right? There must be a registered title in place. So for the layman who would have wanted to understand what a mortgage is, it is the bank using the title for the property as their security. You must, of course, be able to service that loan in order for us to be able to grant you that loan. But unlike a car loan, a mortgage can be extended to as much as 40 years, depending on how young or old you are. So age is not really a factor, but we want to know what it is that you are in terms of an age group, so we can apply accordingly what is the best fit for that.
So based on my age, based on my income, how long I have to repay that loan, you will make that assessment, and then I'm approved.
Pre-approved.
Oh,
That's the
and
key word.
pre-approved.
Pre-approved. That's what we want to do within 24 hours if it is that you provide us with the adequate documentation for us to carry out that extensive assessment.
Let's get into the documentation.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. People feel like it takes too long and you ask for too much, Kendall. What documents do I need to get that pre-approval?
All right. So dependent on who is applying for a loan, of course, we want to know information. Let's take, for argument's sake, someone who is employed. We want your job letter, the most recent pay slips that you may have received within the last 3 months. We want to know your identity, because this is now going to tell us how long we can extend the loan to you for, and most importantly, we want to know as much information about your credit. Credit is important, so it determines whether you're going to be getting a reasonable rate, or a lower rate, or a higher rate, dependent on the credit risk that we are going to be taking.
And by credit risk, you mean how many other people I owe and whether or not I'm paying them back?
It takes into consideration a number of things. It takes into consideration how much debt you have, how much loans you are paying, how you are servicing those loans, how it is that you are utilizing your credit card. Is it that you have a $500,000 limit and you're always near the $500,000, or if it is that you have a $500,000 limit and you're just using a small portion of it? So it takes into consideration a number of things for us to determine what is the credit rating or credit risk that we're going to be taking when it is that we pull your credit reports from the credit bureaus that exist in Jamaica.
So I provided all my documents. You've made an assessment. What does pre-approval mean though? All
right, so the pre-approval is some sort of a guarantee from the bank based on what we have seen as it relates to your income, your age and credit and so forth. We are willing to extend financing of a certain amount.
Okay.
It gives you that leverage, that arm. It's like you have the handle in your possession now to put yourself out there, to pivot you to that goal of home ownership. So it is something that is it's a letter, to be honest. It's a letter, and it's our guarantee that we'll lend you the funding that we have actually pre-approved you for, so to speak, and it's valid for 90 days.
90 days. So I've been pre-approved, provided all the documents, met the criteria. I found my dream home now, and I've given them this letter. What is the next step?
All right, so our objective is to close this deal for you within 30 days. That's our deal. That's our dream, right? Once it is that you would have identified the home, the bank will now tell you, hey, you will need to do a valuation report on this property. We have a panel of valuers that you can actually make a selection from. And once it is that you would have had that valuation report, you share same with us, so we can look at the property in details and know as much information about it in terms of its value, how much the property is to be insured for, what is the for sale value, and so forth and so on. And of course, we want to know what is the condition of the home, because some persons may buy a property that may need repairs as well. So if it is that it may need repairs, we would want to know how it is that the repairs are going to be taken care of. Is it going to be taken care of from your savings? Do you seek financing from us? You'd have to let us know so we can advise you. Of course, there are other documents that we are going to need. We are going to need the property surveyed, because now this surveyor's report is going to identify that the volume and folio number which is named on the title is indeed what the surveyor has actually identified on the ground. And that surveyor's report will also state if there are any anomalies on the ground that the bank will need to know of, and what corrective measures need to be taken in order to have that sorted.
And what happens after we've given you the surveyor's report, the valuation?
Now we're going to be putting the application together. We're going to have a conversation with you to find out what are you looking at in terms of a monthly payment. Is it that you want to have 100% financing? Say for argument's sake, you've been saving with us for 5 years and you fit the criteria in terms of getting 100% financing. We're going to ask you those questions to see if this is the right fit for you, because remember, we don't want to stretch you thin. At the same time, we want to ensure that you're taking on something that you can manage. When we have that conversation and we have determined what it is that you are looking at in terms of a monthly payment, we're going to crunch the numbers. And once we have crunched those numbers, we're going to tell you what fees are applicable for you to deposit to your JN account in order for us to be able to take the loan to the next stage, which is final approval. And that in itself can also be done within 24-48 hours.
Wow. We're going to talk more about the application process and hopefully getting to final approval right after this break. We talk more about the mortgage application process at JN Bank. Kendall, I've given you the surveyor's report, I've given you the valuation and all the details about employment. What does JN do with that information?
All right, so a mortgage is a story about you and the property. When it is that you are provided me with all the documents that I would have required, I'm going to be looking at the documents and I'm going to be writing a story about your file. Once I've completed that information in terms of the story, the information is submitted electronically to our adjudication unit, who then will look at the credit, and then once they are comfortable with the credit, they will approve the loan and respond to me so I can give you the good news of your loan being approved.
Outside of purchasing a home that's already constructed and my dream place, what are some of the other purposes people are using mortgages for now?
Well, persons are coming at us right now, as usual. They come to buy land to build on, and yes, we give construction loans and we do it better than everybody else. We're able to even offer up to 100% financing for building your home. I also see where persons are coming for home improvement loans. The pandemic has driven a lot of persons in their home to see what their home needs, and as a result of that, they want to spruce up the place, they want to change some tiles, they may see something that they need to upgrade, and as such, a lot of persons come to us to get that home improvement loan to spruce up the place, as I said before, make the place look better.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Also, we can offer debt consolidations. So those high interest credit cards, unsecured loans, the equity that is existent in your property can be used to consolidate those loans.
Wow. So you also mentioned fixer-uppers at one point. Is it that persons are purchasing older homes and renovating them as well?
Yes, a lot of persons are doing that. We will give you funds to purchase the property that might be in a particular state that need repairs, and we'll also give you funds to improve that home to make it just as how we'd want it, as a dream home, subject of course to your ability to repay the loan.
Oh wow, that's amazing. I want to go back a little bit on credit, right?
Yes.
What does it mean to a bank, credit? How do you assess it?
All right, credit means everything to us. It enables us to determine how far we'll extend ourselves. It enables us to determine if you are a good credit risk or a bad credit risk. There is something for everyone at JN. We want to know what your circumstances are so we can find the best fit for you based on your credit worthiness.
Okay, so you want to know if I have a car loan and if I'm paying that back, if I have a credit card bill, whether or not I'm paying that back on time. So every aspect of my financial life is something that you want to be exposed to.
Yes, that's why I said it's a story. As one lady said to me, you need my granny back teeth. But at the end of the day, we're not going that far. We just want to ensure that we're giving you the right solution to ensure that you are happy and the bank is happy.
What is something I need to look out for as someone who is coming to the bank? What are some of the do's and don'ts you will say as I try to form that relationship with JN?
You want to ensure that you take on what you can manage. So before you start spending any money, the first thing I encourage persons to do is to find out what you can afford, because persons come to us after they have deposited on a property, and then after we do our assessment, they realize that they can't afford that home. So the pre-approval, and I reinforce that, it is important before you do anything at all. Some banks may close the door on you because of your credit. So you may have had credit bad 10 years ago. They use that to judge you. Of course, we want to know what were the circumstances then that led for your credit being bad, and what it is now that will enable us to determine if we are willing to take that risk with you.
You give us a second chance, but how would you describe good credit versus bad credit? Is there a credit score? What about my financial circumstances would make me good credit versus bad?
All right, so there are two credit bureaus that exist in Jamaica at the moment. We look at both credit reports, and of course we ask you as well if it is that you may have had other loans before we even pull the credit report, because we understand that some persons do not report to the credit bureaus as yet. But what we do, we look at the loans that you have, we compare the credit reports and see if there's something on one credit report that may be missing from another, and we look at how you service those loans. If you service those loans on time, and we realize that
how I pay them back?
How you pay.
Okay.
That's
okay.
right. How you pay them back is what is going to determine if you're a good credit risk. If it is that you may not be servicing the loan well, we may ask you what may have happened to allow for that to be where it's at. And of course, we want to know the situation that would have led to that, so we can determine how we extend ourselves to you. We may not be able to offer you 100% financing if you don't have good credit, but we will at least give you some financing.
That's excellent. So do I get a different rate if I'm bad risk versus good risk, or based on age or income? How does JN assess each member?
Yes, we look at your credit to determine the interest rate that is applicable to you, and from there we would apply accordingly where that is concerned. The good thing about JN is that we give you options, and with this market now as it is, we have variable rates and we have fixed rates. So it is always important for you to have that conversation to ensure that you're taking the right fit, because what exists now that might be competitive, in a year from now it might not be competitive. So it might be ideal for you to take on a fixed rate option from the bank.
I did not know that. Thanks, Kendall.
Pleasure.
I'm sure this conversation took you one step closer to achieving your real estate dreams. And thank you for sharing in today's property tour. This is The Listing, and I'm Angel Alicia.